Welcome back to Unplugged. This is episode 3. I'm joined by Jack, my co-host, and then we've got the lovely Dr Dubplate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you.
You went out last night, or you were DJing last night?
Yeah. Locally, actually, number 90.
How was it?
It was sick. First leg of the tour, so...
Is this with Keep Hush?
Yeah,
Sick.
yeah. And Percolate. So, yeah.
And do you get to curate the lineups?
Yeah, they're all ones that I put together.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
And do you, like the people that you played with last night, have you booked them for previous shows before, or are these all like a fresh lineup?
More or less fresh.
Yeah.
I mean, I've played with a couple of people, like over the years, but actually besides Miley's probably the only one on the tour that I haven't played with.
Sick.
So it was sick because we're both. Well, she's fully French.
Is she?
Yeah. I'm like half French. So.
How's her English?
Yeah.
You're half French?
Yeah.
How's your French?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Well, this is your first leg as Dr Dubplate outside of the EC2A title. Are we going to expect more solo projects?
Yeah, I mean, like probably not out of the context of DJing for now, but no, it's cool to just, I don't know, I always get imposter syndrome with like the thought of being a headliner, like even saying that sounds a bit weird. So it's quite cool to go to like do something like that and fully people are rolling up to see you. It's a bit of a weird.
You're star of the show.
Yeah, because usually I'm like supporting for other people, which is still a vibe.
Or would you rather close or open?
I'm a warm-up DJ at heart. Like that's how I've cut my teeth. So I would always pick the warm-up.
Love that. Set the mood.
Were you closing last night? You said you
I
went till
played
4.
2 till 4, and then Miel played closing set.
Okay.
Yeah, vibes.
Nice. Okay, so EC2A isn't your first attempt at a label. You started Piff Records back in 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
Could you give any advice for people that are wanting to start a label?
In general?
Yeah, in general. Like, what is like practical steps for people if they're wanting to start one?
Yeah, it's a weird one because I always remember going on to like YouTube and stuff, and there's always like the generic how to start a record label, but I feel it's like if you're trying to, you know, put out artists like Ed Sheeran or something.
Are they like American guys like telling you?
So guys, we're gonna start a label now. But like with dance music, I think the most important thing is the context, and naturally to have that context is just a case of time and dedication. And then I feel like there's no real like practical things that you can learn. It's all experience in my in my opinion, just because it doesn't take like, you know, someone with mad brains to make a label. I just think it's the authenticity
and dedication
and context that you can give people that like allows you to build something. And I've always tried to build more of a brand.
So how long have you been doing EC2A for?
EC2A since 2020.
Oh, so did you start in lockdown?
Yeah, well, the idea came before lockdown, but then naturally when we went into it, it was
you had like loads of time to think.
Yeah, I was just like full steam ahead, just fuck it, let's go.
So what were you doing before
Can
lockdown?
I swear?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was like, uh-oh, here we go.
What were you doing before lockdown then?
So before lockdown, I mean, after I dropped out of uni, it was more or less like call center jobs. And then I managed to land like what was like my dream job at the time, working for Team Love Saves the Day, doing marketing for a year before we went into the pandemic. And then when we went into lockdown, like, you know, obviously the creative industry just got rinsed. So naturally, I had to part ways, kind of got made redundant. And then I was working at Hermes, just like as and when, just hustling, just trying to make ends meet, because I didn't really have the what's it called? What were they called? You know, the payouts.
Oh yeah.
What was it called?
The what?
The payout for like
the
not
COVID
going to work.
Furlough.
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
So I didn't have furlough, and I think that just kind of gave me the drive to be like, it's now or never. Because I'd been like, when we went into lockdown, I was like 26. So like, having done music for like already a decade at that point, I was like, right, you've just got to give it your all, and hopefully it works out this time.
Yeah.
So how come you dropped out of uni? Were you not studying stuff to do with
I
music?
just studied how to just party. Literally, it's that real. Like,
But you've been doing that since before. I remember seeing an interview where you were hosting 16 plus parties back when you were younger.
Yeah.
You've always been, promoter, partier.
Like as soon as I discovered what my old man did, it just set me on this whole path of like, I knew that's what I kind of wanted to do. I've always been like sociable and like, like friends and stuff like that. So like being a promoter was like, it made sense.
Second
nature. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, just started doing 16 plus parties. It's a weird one because I remember going to some girl called Izzy at the time, her party, it was her 16th, and her mum owned a house in Barron's Court.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this would be such a sick gaff to do like a party in. So I just took my chance, just messaged her being like, could I rent it from you?
No way.
And she was like, yeah, sound. I just want to make sure I have like one of my family members like as security.
Yeah.
Some guy called Tyrone, he was hench as well, which was sound as well because no one wanted to fuck around. And that was that. We were just taking tenors at the door. I was like, this is so easy. Like, I didn't come from like a super rich background, so I just felt like I uncovered like a money hack, like, Sims. I was like, this is crazy. Like, I'm having a good time. Everyone else is having a good time and I'm getting paid. And I was like 16. And from that moment, I was like, yeah.
Did you have any like things go wrong at the 16 party?
Yeah, there was one time, so it was probably about the third one we did. I remember I was setting up and because we were putting it up on Facebook.
Just like an open
like group events, like, so like that was the thing. There weren't even Instagram these times, but I remember going to set up and like at this point there was actually like tenants, but we managed to work a deal, which is, do you know what? The whole thing is so questionable because we were underage. These tenants must have been in like their mid-20s. They were down to do it. So I remember setting up and midway, police have come and been like, we know there's going to be a party here.
Oh my God.
Don't go ahead with it, blah, blah, blah. But we still went ahead with it and nothing happened. But that's probably about it, to be honest.
You didn't have like anyone ending up in ambulance or?
Nah, responsible.
What kind of music was it early on?
Chase and Status, Eastern Dubs.
Love it.
Like, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to tap into like, it was like Casper, Rusko, Scream, Benga. That sort of, like LaRue. The Scream remix, that was like the anthem at the time. Do you know what I mean?
Were you DJing at these parties?
No.
Could you DJ at this point?
I had no interest. I was like,
you just wanted to party.
Get
the money, party.
Take it.
And also like, I always assumed that like DJs in this particular moment, I always thought like DJs had musical knowledge.
Right.
Like, in other words, they must have been like classically trained and shit. I thought they were like, you had to kind of be a musician. It wasn't really until I got to uni and I saw like mates doing it, I was like, oh,
You just put some music on a USB.
Well, to be fair, at the time, they were all collecting records and stuff. But I was like, you're just mixing 2 tracks. It can't be that deep.
So did you learn through friends?
Yeah, so when I moved to Bristol, like, it's so fortunate how it happened, but I managed to just, you know, surround myself with... I mean, coming to Bristol, naturally, you always will, but, like, our whole friendship group was more or less, like, you know, on the basis of loving music. And Harry Pepper, he had like decks in halls, so like instead of hitting lectures and shit, I was just like, can I have a little go on your decks? When I called the bug, like, because it wasn't until Bristol I was like, oh no, this is so much fun. And it was like the one way, because I've loved music beyond belief, but I've never had a way to like get involved, like the production, even though I've dabbled in it now, like nothing serious. At the time, I just couldn't really understand, nor did I have the money to get like, you know, a MacBook and things like that. So it just
and then
really
all the software and everything.
It felt like completely unachievable. So, you know, having decks around and stuff, I just, you know, seized the opportunity, and just every moment I had, I just wanted to mix.
No, definitely. So can we expect any production coming soon?
I mean,
a Dr Dubplate.
I mean, hopefully eventually. I don't know, like last year I was in a point where I was like, I wanted to make tunes, but I feel like it was for the wrong reasons. Like I was doing it because I thought it might help boost like my DJing and shit like that, when realistically I want to do it because I genuinely feel creative and inspired. So like, I don't know, I'm just going to save it for them opportunities. Like there are still times where I will open up Ableton and just have a little mess around, but I just don't want to make it serious just because I feel like that's when it loses the fun.
When it becomes I need to sell it, you know what I mean, rather than I need to create it.
The intentions just don't feel pure.
What kind of music are you trying to produce? Like obviously you got background in house with Piff, now garage with EC2A. Are you drawing on both of those?
You know what, I'll end up just making like 140 loops or like hip hop loops and stuff. I don't know, it's weird, for as much dance music as I listen to, I'd have thought that I'd have had a better starting point to make that music, but in terms of production, it doesn't actually come to me that naturally. It's always like hip hop, trap, stuff that like that. That's like just, I guess because it's more loopy. I guess that could be said about dance music as well, but like you can make like a cold 32 bar hip hop loop and it feels like you've made like a 6 minute like masterpiece.
Definitely. So with going back to EC2A, obviously like very garage focused, but like recently with like the Fonzo EP that's just come out is going more kind of percussive, and now there's stuff with Unit 6. Like what direction are you trying to take the label going forward?
I just want it to be respected as like, you know, like take the genre away. I just want it to be a representation of like UK centric dance music culture on the whole. Anyone who's seen me DJing knows that, you know, I play a little bit of everything. So naturally I just want that to be reflected in what the label does. The Unit 6 is interesting just because it's going to be more house and techno. And that's why I wanted to start something else, like in terms of social media and stuff, just because I do want EC2A to sort of remain bass music, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, definitely, I get that. So we did a deep dive on your socials, and the first ever EC2A guest mix on Nudes Radio had ended with main phase murky, but it said forthcoming EC2A. Can we expect a release, or
I mean,
are you sitting on any more heaters that will never see the light of day?
I mean, there's always tunes that like never see like the light of day. I mean, that one I couldn't even tell you, to be honest. Murky. I mean, like I said, if I was to look through my hard drive, maybe, but you know, so many things change, and like I guess what people don't see is that a lot of these tunes that get released, we've like been listening to, bouncing back ideas for like minimum like 3 months, sometimes even years. So there's always things that get chopped and changed, you know, like I don't even write tunes, and I dread to think how many unfinished ideas or demos or whatever all of them lot are sitting on, you know.
No, definitely. On all of the EC2A dubs, it says for the people, not the heads. What does that mean? What does that mean?
It just means fuck the pretentiousness, man. I hate it. Like, honestly, like for me, dance music, it epitomizes like, you know, bringing people together, unity. It don't matter your sexual orientation, gender, color, whatever it is. So like one thing that really stresses me out is when people come and it's like, it's cool, like it's for everyone to enjoy, right? But you come and then you make it this like exclusive, I'm super cool, when really you were a neek back in the day type energy. Do you know what I mean? And it's that's fine. That's not a problem, but you can't come somewhere when really you're a guest and then try and make it some exclusive club where then you make people feel like they can't even have a part of it. So when I say for the people, for their heads, it is literally because I just don't rate pretentiousness. Like for me, being like, you know, mixed race, for when I was like, you know, in my 20s, you know, like in the 2010s, trying to do house and techno, I was just met with bare stush trust fund kiddies that were like, you know, bare like, just because I was different, the way I spoke, like, just like, nah. When it's like, ultimately, like, if you break it down, you know, it comes from a place where they were never from, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And I felt conflicted because it was like, I'm trying to change the way I speak, the way I am to fit into these places. And it's like, you know.
That's terrible. I don't think you can't have a conversation about dance music without having a conversation about black culture. Like, it's all stemmed from black culture, and so
like
a lot
the queer communities.
Yeah, and the queer community, like, and all of these trust fund kids who are like, no, actually it's our space. It's like, no, go back to the history and figure out that actually you're a guest here and you've adopted this. And
like, also we were all gassed up youths at one point. Like, everyone was gassed and excited, and like I remember speaking to one man and being like, you don't even know how many times I saw you in like 2012 and I came up to you like, oh my God, one man, I love you, bro. Like, you're the best DJ ever. Like, people just need to remember that energy. And like, you know, when you see kids that aren't, you know, it's not, I hate even saying this, like, cool, what is cool, whatever. Like, just remember there was a time in your life where you were that person, and that, you know, like, the whole pretentiousness in music, I just think it just creates barriers.
Where do you feel like the most inclusive, like, filled with love city or spaces to, like, party in or to DJ? Like, where do you feel is like, I know I'm gonna have a good night, everyone's gonna be just full of love, like, no judgment?
Wow. In the UK?
Anywhere.
I mean, it's tough to say. I'm not gonna lie, like, as a rule of thumb, whenever I go to any sort of queer or gay party, that's always where the vibes are. I'm not gonna lie. You don't feel like you're getting judged. No one's in your space, and you get a sense of freedom, and that people are like there for the right reasons, not like trying to chirps and do you know what I mean? Like you see some people and you're like, you could be an Oceana, bro. Like the motives have just changed. Do you know what I mean? So like in terms of like where I would try and be like touching motives and like doing fun stuff, it would probably be something like that. I remember when I was in Australia, I think they were called House of Mints. They were doing a takeover at a festival I was playing, and at this point we had finished and we just went down. We must have been there for like 2 hours just vibing. And it was like, I think for Australia, like House of Mints, I mean, don't quote me on this, but like, you know, they represent that queer community. It's like a queer party essentially, and like even not being someone who's gay or anything like that, you still feel accepted. 100%. You know, like you just got to respect the space and people around you, and for me, like that's a vibe.
Yeah, definitely. So what's the difference between UK and Australian crowds?
I think in Australia things are a lot more special for them because, you know, people are traveling like 24 hours just to get there. The only like difference I could give is that in the UK, I think we're just spoiled. Like I've been there as well at home on a Saturday, and you're like, I could go and see, you know, this wild back to back, but you're like, nah,
I can do it next weekend.
I can do it next weekend. But in Oz, they pull up, like they're not missing it, and they just love the culture. I think you kind of romanticize cultures when you're not like living them. So I just feel like they're just so tapped in, like they know all of the backstories and they're gassed. And I feel like, especially amongst the youngsters, they're like opening this world of music that, you know, maybe they didn't really know about before. So I just find they're just really up for it, really friendly. Obviously, when you've got such great weather, I mean, everyone's kind of on a good vibe, do you know what I mean?
Did you meet anyone over in Australia that you want to get on the label?
Yeah, I mean, I just dropped a release with someone called Cotto, who's from Sydney, and he joined me on, it was like the Gold Coast part of the tour. So it was Brisbane, Gold Coast, and Byron Bay.
Okay, nice.
And he joined for all 3 days. We'd been speaking before
you got to Australia.
Yeah, but you know, naturally, I like when you meet people and stuff, it's like done deal, innit? Do you know what I mean? You got that rapport. But you know, I stayed with Mincy as well, and Killjoy, like, so, you know, always trying to bridge that gap.
Do you think you want to go back over there?
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to reach this year, hopefully, but you know,
see what happens.
Exactly.
What have you got any exciting things coming up in the pipelines?
It's just rinse repeat at the moment, to be honest. Like day to day with the label, it's actually not that glamorous. We're just cooped up in like a room with no windows. But you know, I think really, if there's one thing I've noticed, it's like, not throwing any shade, but one common theme I've seen in music is like music industry people just don't really like to work. Do you know what I mean? So like my ethos, you know, like I know same as Joe from Hardline, is just to put in the hours basically. So Monday to Friday it's just that, and then I guess summer's closely like just round the corner, so just like festivals. I've got one thing I'm gassed about, but I can't even say it, but it's for Worthy Farm, so that's enough of a hint. But I'm actually so gassed when that comes out. It's like
when's that coming out?
It's
when can you announce? stuff.
Once Glasto goes live with their lineup,
okay,
you'll start seeing all of
Putting
the
the
other
pieces together.
stages like announcing what they've got. I think something like just the Glasto lineup's taken a little bit longer than they anticipated, but that's one that I'm like super gassed for. And then, do you know what? At the moment, what's really giving me life is seeing people like Skeptic, Sophia,
they smashed it with their
Ella, Escape, Four Eyes, Automatic, Yems, like all the youngsters just shelling it, and it just gives me so much hope and faith in like the newer gens, where like I felt a bit more isolated by people who were my age when I was their age, if that makes sense. I'm just glad that I feel like there's a bit more of a like community, and they just know that we've got them for just pure intentions. Like a lot of people know you can just bell me, bro. Like, you know, like my one rule of thumb is like people who are my age get stuffed. Fucking figure it out yourself, mate. You've had your time. But any 20-year-old, whatever game I can give, like ultimately, as long as music can carry on getting pushed forward, that's all I really care about. You know what I mean? So if I have to be like the villain and say things that, you know, other people won't say because they're scared of getting like fucking blackballed by the industry, then I'll be that guy and I don't give a fuck. Like, do you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Yeah. I love that. I think you are definitely famous for being so uplifting for a lot of like young talent, which is so good to see. Who would you pick as your like top 3 or 4 of people who are gonna be the next big thing?
I mean, Skeptic, 150%. Like, I can't even put into words what, like, I mean, already since we started working together, so like a year, he's surpassed every single goal that we set. Do you know what I mean?
That's amazing.
Like every single one, like all the metrics, smashed it, and he's just bare humble. Because I always say, if I was in his position at his age, knowing what I was like, it would have just been trouble. Like, I could not have, like, I would have been so gassed. But he's just remained so humble, you know, always just trying to better what he does, even though he's absolutely killing it. So yeah, that, I mean, Skeptic is like right at the top. Then Yems, I'd probably say, just because, again, superstar.
Yeah, every time I've seen her live, just so much energy. Yeah, so much energy. It's just,
and I just love to see it, like, you know, like, again, really smart person, really genuine, like, super bubbly personality. And some of the tunes that she's making, unreal. So I'm just like, I hope she just carries on finding the time to perfect what she does. And no doubt, like, she's going to be massive, especially once she starts putting out some of, like, her productions like, I'm super excited for her to, like, she already has, but you can tell she's in the period of, like, you know, just discovering your sound and your processes. And then I'd probably say Ella, ESC.
Oh, yeah.
Escape. She had a tune on the what's it called, on the USB 2, and she warmed up yesterday for the tour. She's just cold, and, like, you know, like, she doesn't back herself, but I think when you're that age, I remember what I was like, I didn't really back myself, so I feel like it comes with time. But you can just hear, like, the productions that she has sent over, unreal, her DJing, unreal. So, like, hopefully, you know, things come into fruition for her, but I definitely think they will.
No, that's awesome. Well, the USBs have been flying off the shelves, which is so sick. Do you have any future plans? Anyone you would love to get on? Anyone you'd love to get on a USB?
I mean, I feel like I'm working with all the people I'd want to work with. I mean, it was because like I remember the baseline lot used to do these USBs, and I remember one that I saw actually from Gundam. Do you know Gundam, the producer? Gundam, he actually made a Gundam transformer
That's sick.
USB.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is such a sick idea. I know Zero used to do it. A lot of these people. So it's nothing new, but I just thought, like, if you deep it, not many people buy vinyl in terms of the grand scheme of the overall community of music lovers, especially the younger lot. So I just did it as a random, let's see what happens. And the sick thing that I found is it stopped being like people my age and above buying dubs to like 16-year-olds. The percentage of boy girl was like more like 60-40 as opposed to like being 99.9% just blokes. And you know, like I feel it makes sense because these days you're never too far away from a controller or a pirate studios. But like who has turntables? It's pretty niche.
Yeah, it's niche. It's also expensive.
It's so expensive.
It's expensive. So I'm also, just happy
to have the storage to keep all of those vinyls is also a lot.
Yeah.
Like just having all your stuff on a USB is just easy. Easy.
Yeah.
Trust.
And also when it looks like a Homer Simpson head.
That's the Soul Mass one.
Yeah, the Soul Mass one. Do you know when that's
coming out? End of March.
End of March.
Yeah.
Bookmark that. Awesome. Okay, so you have so many like iconic sets, whether it's like Loco Club with Keep Hush, your birthday bash, Crofters, the DJ Mag set, or doing a set in a barbershop. Like what is your favorite set of all time that you've done?
My favorite one will probably be the one, the first Keep Hush one with Jossie, A for Alpha and Main Phase, merely because at this point what you've got to understand is no one really thought anything of anything.
So you're just having fun.
It was just us lot just sending it. Do you know what I mean? Which you can probably tell from my set. I know the comments are like going crazy. But nah, that one was especially good just because it felt the purest in terms of like, it really was just us fucking around. You know, Bristol crew came through, like all the homies were there, Jossie was there, Adam was there, Abby was there. So like everyone playing, it was just hella natural. And we had the whole tight, the firmly rooted sound system. So it was just like, there was like debris falling from the roof. The stage got caved in. It was sick. I was awesome. Like, I'm here for the carnage.
Do you wear earplugs?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't at this point, I'm not gonna lie, but I got some ACS customs, just because they did like a musicians for hearing thing. And then I've got the EC2A ones that we recently dropped, just sort of. I try and place as many strategically so like I'm never too far away from earplugs, but I still manage to forget them.
Yeah. So what's your favourite set that you've seen as a fan?
I mean, there's a few. I think the best one that stood out in terms of me really deep in what it is to be a DJ is maybe seeing Theo Parrish at Plastic People, just because he was playing like he'd be playing techno and then you'd go away and then come back and then it's like Nirvana, smells like Teen Spirit, and I was like, wait, what the fuck is actually going on? Like you know, it just blew my mind as to what DJs can do, because I guess at this point I thought it was like Swedish house mafia, big crowds type shit, when you know there was still super niche, like cool things. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
more recently, I remember seeing EC2A's. She's like a Panorama or Berkheim resident, but we were at Glasgow, and like Bufo set was just hella rammed, and like it was at Icon, and where we were it just weren't sounding great, so we went to Genesis just next door, which is like the big bus one, and it was sounding fat, and this lady EC2A who we'd never heard of was playing, and we just stayed there for like 2 hours.
Oh my
That's
God.
honestly the best thing about festivals is just wandering around and finding gems.
It was sick. I couldn't believe it. And like, I'd never heard of her before. I remember Amalia then was also at the same set and posted it saying EC2A unreal set, and I was like, oh well,
that's how you
God
knew.
damn.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's who it was.
That's what I hate sometimes, like you don't know who's playing and you're
Yeah.
like, this person's so sick, like how am
How
I
am I
meant to
gonna
find out?
discover them?
Yeah.
I kind of was like, maybe one day I'll find out,
Yeah.
but until then, like,
Thank God for Amalia.
yeah. Literally.
What was the first ever festival that you went to?
Ooh, first ever festival. I believe it was Far Festival.
I don't know.
Where's
Far
Far Festival? In
It
London?
was North London. R.I.P. You know, it was like sort of your Dan Shake and, you know, like
Yeah.
fucking embarrassing dad shirts type energy and that era. That was probably the first one, because my dad, knowing what I was like, you're not going Reading or any of this shit. I don't want you to come back in the back of a van like for some mad bullshit.
Did you ever go to Reading?
Nah.
Really?
My sisters went. Imagine when I found that out, I was like, what? I was like, so I didn't get to go, but they did. But it's blatantly because my sisters are actually sensible and I definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
But so it wasn't until, weirdly enough, until I was in uni that I went to a proper camping festival.
What was that one?
I did like underage festival when I was like 16. That was in like Vicky Park or some shit.
Oh yeah. What was the first camping one?
Yeah, Far Festival.
Oh, Far Festival. Yeah.
Far Festival. It was that summer, and I did Glasgow as well.
Nice.
I was like straight to the big league.
You've skipped a lot of that.
But how did you get tickets?
You see, the one thing with Glasgow is you've got to know people from Bristol.
Right.
If you know West Country people,
They're gonna
you've
get
got
you
an
there.
in, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if you're at Glastonbury, just roll with as many Bristol people or Scousers, and you'll have a great weekend.
Okay, we're nearing the end, but we're going to hit you with some quick fire questions, if that's right. All right, so out of all the DJs you know, who parties the hardest? Who's going front left, giving it their all?
It's a lot of contenders here. Wow. Do you know what? That's got to be one of the hardest ones. Who parties the hardest? Tan.
Yeah.
And do you know why I say Tan? Actually, because you wouldn't think it, but Tan is all, like, I'm not even going to hot people up, but she's just a great vibe, like, on a night. And I know when I see Tan, like, you know when you look at someone and you're like, yeah, you're not going back to the hotel. You're looking for a motive. I can see it in your eyes.
Okay, USB or vinyl?
I'm going to say USB just to piss off the vinyl head.
Love that. All right, favourite UK festival?
Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Festival stage or underground club?
Underground club.
Really?
Yeah.
What, a festival stage on like a summer's day?
It is, but what you've got to understand is, like, as a DJ, it's not actually the vibiest set
I guess
do.
sometimes like you have to kind of cater to all people.
And there's a
aren't like
disconnect.
as they're not as like willing to listen to what you want to play.
Yeah. No,
And there's
sweaty
just a
200
disconnect.
cap. Yeah.
Like, when you, like, the best sets I've done, 200 cap, minimal lighting, and like extended set.
Yeah,
The vibes are just unreal.
Yeah, defo, small venue, 200 cap, probably a basement.
Yeah.
And because of
beat it.
plastic people, I think naturally That's in my blood.
Did you go to Plastic People's closing? Because they closed in 2015.
I didn't go to the actual closing. I went to the last co-op, which was the Broken Beat night that was there, but I didn't do the Fortet back-to-back Flopo.
How come?
I was in Bristol at this time, unfortunately.
You didn't want to like pay respects to the club closing?
I mean, I'd done so many shifts, I feel like my respects were paid in full.
Okay, who would be your dream back-to-back and where would you do it?
Dream back-to-back. I would still say, actually, I'm going to pick my words wisely. It's a tough one because respectfully, there's not actually many DJs that I want to go back to back with. Just because I feel like in today's age, it's just so forced, these back to backs. They're like, yep, and then there's no thought. But if based on my styling of DJing, I would say 2014 One Man. That would be goals.
Yeah.
I think he's goated beyond belief.
Same.
Unreal. Don't get the credit I think he deserves, but that's a conversation for another time.
If you could only play one genre, what would it be?
One genre would probably be house music.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say UKG.
Nah, just because house is just besides things like jungle, but I feel like that fills a different void. House is just the foundations of it all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, what is one tune that every DJ should have on their USB?
Do you know what, actually? I've got one right here. Todd Edwards, Never Far From You.
Not heard it.
No, I haven't heard it.
It's a classic.
Yeah. I'll have to
We'll
check
play it
it
out.
out.
That's one of the tunes where I was like, garage, you say? I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But that's a classic. I feel like if you're into UK, I mean, Todd the God, innit?
Yeah, that fucking Romford 2003.
In fact,
DJ
you see that iconic video?
Yeah.
I'm more or less 90% sure the tune, where everyone goes nuts.
Yeah.
That's the tune
That's
he's
the tune.
playing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
People in the comments are gonna no, it's not. It's actually from this set from 1998.
All right, so lights on, crew. You're closing. What track do you draw for?
Ooh, I quite like. At the moment.
Yeah, at the moment.
The launch by DJ Gene.
Yeah.
It's just carnage, innit?
Yeah.
And I think it just sums up being a UK rave.
Yeah.
It's just fucking absolute madness. But it just goes off.
Yeah, no, big tune.
I feel like I know who you're going to say for this one, but someone you look up to in the music industry and why? Actually, maybe I don't know who you're going to say.
Look up to? Do you know what the darkest thing is? A lot of people that I looked up to, I don't actually rate like that.
What, now that you've met them?
Now that I've met them.
Right.
Just because...
They do say don't meet your heroes.
Yeah. Not to throw shade and that, but it's weird when you look up to people for so long and then you get to a position where you're rubbing shoulders with them and you realize that where your head's at, you kind of rate more. Or what you're trying to pass down to other generations. But in terms of who I look up to the most in that respect, it will probably be my old man.
Aww. That's so nice.
To be honest, that's the only person that I'm really who's older than me that's actually not true. But he's the opinion I value the most just because I know what he's done, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Does he have a lot of say with the label and helps you out a lot?
He probably had a lot more. He actually gave me the idea for the name because I was like, oh, you know, like I've got this thing, I really want it to embody what plastic embodied. He was like, oh yeah, call it EC2A, just like that, just bare blasé. And I was like, this guy's a fucking genius.
You were like, get me a notepad.
I was like, hey, what was that again? Alright, say less. To this day, he's like, where's my percentage? I'm like, allow it, man, come on.
Just drop him some dubs.
Yeah. You were like, fuck that, give me some cash.
Fair enough. All right, I think that's
all done.
All done. Yeah, I think that's all the
Thank
time
you
we
so
have
much
for.
for
Thanks so
No,
much.
it's safe for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.